Hey there, John Gibson here. I'm back with another video for you. I am a PCOS fat loss or body transformation expert, and I want to give you guys some more ideas on things you can do to be able to succeed with your PCOS, be able to transform your body, transform your health, and all those things. And excuse me, this time of year is New Year's resolution time, right? Everyone comes, we all want to set these goals and change our life and transform everything. But I want you to really think about something, okay? Last year, same thing happened, right? Same thing, you were in a situation where you wanted to change your life and everything. How did you do? Now, if you did awesome, good, congratulations, that's great. But most of us, unfortunately, most of us don't make the changes in our life that we want to make, or necessarily we don't change or when we set those New Year's resolutions, we don't meet those. We don't even come close, to be honest with you. That's the majority of us. I think it was Forbes magazine did a survey. I think every year they do a survey, but the last one I heard, only 5% of people who set New Year's resolutions actually achieve their resolution. Okay. Now, I'm not necessarily against resolutions, but I am against the way that a lot of people do this. Let me talk about some mistakes and that people make when they're setting New Year's resolutions. And I want to give you some three things we can do to be able to set these resolutions, or I'm going to call them goals from now on, but set these goals and make them so that, set it up in a way that we're going to succeed. Now, really just comes down to the way that we track it, and it comes down to just some different things that we do with it. Because here's some mistakes I see. Okay. Number one is when we set a resolution, we set it so rigid that we are going to fail. We basically set ourselves up for failure on day one. We say, okay, for the next year, I am going to be perfect at exercising. I'm going to exercise 5 days a week. Well, what happens when you get sick? What happens when one of your family members gets sick? What happens when there's vacations? What happens when, a storm comes and you can't get to the gym? What happens when we have life that happens, right? Things happen that make it so you can't get to the gym 5 days a week, every single week, right? Okay. And along with that, if you haven't already developed the habit of going to the gym, there's days you'll forget, or there's times we'll say, okay, I have the intention of going to the gym, but I'll go after lunch, right? And then lunchtime comes around and then something else comes up, right? Okay, well, I'll go after this thing. And then you get to the next thing and, I'll go after. And the next thing you know, you're getting ready for bed going, I didn't work out today. I didn't make it to the gym. Right? Okay. So we want to do some things a little bit different. Now, along with that, okay, we set these goals that are so rigid. We ask for perfection, right? Along with that, we set too many at once. We say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. This year, I'm going to lose weight, make more money, stop smoking. Those are the top three usually. I am also going to be nicer to my family. I'm going to, and again, we list off dozens of resolutions, and then we start trying to do them all at once. And what happens is we start to fail at all of them because there's just too many things to remember, okay? And the last mistake that I see people make is we don't track them. We make the goals and we just come up with them. I'm going to lose weight. But then we don't post it anywhere we can see it. We don't remind ourselves of our goal every day, right? Or multiple times per day. We don't track our goal. We just kind of do it. Hopefully things work and hopefully we end up at where we want to be, but we don't track what we want to succeed at. Okay. So those are some things the mistakes that I see people make. Now, what do we do? Okay. The big things that I want to make sure that everyone does is hold on. Sorry, I've got my notes here. I've got to remember all the three things I want to talk to you about. There's like a dozen things I could talk to you about. There's three I wanted to. So number one is, yes, set a goal. Okay. Set your goals. I'm not against these resolutions. Write out all the things you would like to accomplish this year. But don't write them out in a way of, I'm going to start working on all of them today. Okay? Because here's the thing. It's hard for us to completely change our life in one day. We can make small changes, but to change everything all at once is not going to happen in one day. So here's what I recommend doing. Write down your goals, everything you want to accomplish, right? Now pick one, maybe two, but I really recommend just sticking with one for now and say, I'm going to start working on this one. Now, you don't have to reach this goal before you start working on another goal, but I'm going to get to that in just a second, okay? But I'm going to say just pick one goal and only one goal that you want to work on right now. I constantly have a running list of goals I want to accomplish, and I'm only working on one at a time. At the moment, I've got about 15 to 20 different goals that I want to work on. And again, I'm only working on one. And then as I get that one, and again, I'll talk about how I do it. As I get that one closer, then I'll start working on another one, and I'll keep working on other ones as I go along. Okay, does that make sense? So number one, write down all your goals. Now post that everywhere, or have some way of reminding yourself of your goal. Have a little stick-it note, or maybe even write on your mirror, write with some sort of a dry erase marker, or wax something on there so it doesn't wipe off. But have that on there so that you can see it everywhere. Does that make sense? Okay, so have it somewhere in your bathroom. When you're using the restroom, you see your goals. Have little notes all over the place. Things that will remind you. It doesn't have to be tacky, sticky notes everywhere, right? You can make these really cool, I just want to say cricket. Oh, what are they called? Maybe you guys can help me out. What are they called? Anyways, like these boards or whatever, with just a word that reminds you of what your goal is. And it can be something cool, right? It doesn't have to be like lose weight, right? And have that everywhere, okay? But have something that reminds you of your goal. Even if it is, an alarm on your phone that goes off and it just reminds you, asks you a question. How are you doing on your weight loss goal, right? Or how are you doing on your fitness goal? Or how are you doing on your eating goal, or whatever it might be, right? Something that pops up and reminds you of what your goal is. I did this for quite a while. I would do something like this where every couple of hours something would pop up and all it would say is, are you grateful? And then I would think of a couple things I'm grateful for. And then over time, I started becoming more grateful for things. And after a while, it got to the point where I was like, just forget this one for now. I'm not going to worry about the gratitude one because I'm being more grateful. It worked, right? And then if I need to reevaluate that, then I may add that in later on. Right now, I have something different, and I'll talk to you guys about that in just a second. Okay? Now, along with that, here's what our goal needs. Our goal needs to have some sort of a reward or a punishment associated with it, right? And unfortunately, with weight loss goals, a lot of time we say, okay, now with my weight loss goal, if I hit a certain number, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ruin my goal. I'm going to go out to eat to my favorite restaurant, which I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing as long as there's some rules associated with it. But we go for treats, and sometimes that derails us, or we go for things that are going to get in the way of us achieving that goal, right? But if we had other types of rewards, things like experiences, things like, you could go to your spouse and say, hey, or go to a friend and say, hey, how about this? If I reach my goal, let's do like a bet. If I reach my goal, you give me so much money, right? Or I get so much money, or something like that. Some sort of a reward with that. But here's the more important part, okay? The goal has to have a punishment associated with it. Because a lot of times the reward is not strong enough for us to go and do it. But if we have some sort of a negative punishment associated with it, then we're more likely to stick with it. And it has to be a real consequence, okay? Not a little thing where if you get to the end of that goal, you did not achieve it, and it's like, the punishment wasn't that big of a deal. Run one for that. Or two, punishment didn't even happen. But there needs to be a real deadline, a real consequence for not achieving that goal. And when we have that, that's when we're more motivated to stick with that goal. Okay, so have some sort of a reward and along the way, and some sort of like consequence at the end. Have your spouse or a friend or someone who is close enough to you that you're okay with them dishing out that consequence, but not so close that if they dish out the consequence, you're going to hate them. Okay, spouses may not be a good idea. Depends on your relationship with your spouse, but if you've got a good relationship with your spouse, that could be something good you could do, okay? Some people I know that consequence could turn into a huge argument between each other and resentment and all these things, and so I don't recommend that, right? So that's one thing you can do. So number one, again, you got to set the goal, but put it somewhere where you can see it constantly. And number two is have a real consequence for that goal if you don't achieve it. Because again, most of us don't have that. We just don't achieve it, and it's like, I'm just another year of not reaching my goal. Instead of, wow, because I didn't reach my goal, here is the consequence. And if we see that in front of us, then we're more likely to push to reach that goal, okay? Now, the next thing is how we execute our goal. And the reason why I say to pick one goal and only focus on one goal is because, again, it gets too extravagant when we have too many things. If we're trying to I want to write a book, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to this, we just don't do any of them. Right? Or maybe we might work on one a little bit. But let's just imagine for a second. Your goal is to lose weight. Your goal is to write a book. Your goal is to, what's another one? What's another good one? Oh my goodness, I should have had this prepared for some ideas. I'll say make more money. Okay, those are some popular ones. Okay, so I want to lose weight, I want to make more money, and I want to write a book. So what we do is we decide, okay, which one do I want to work on first? Okay, well, let's say if it's writing the book, I want to write the book first. Okay, well, now break that down into habits and maybe some specific tasks. The cool thing with the book is once you reach that goal, the book is done. You don't need to worry about, okay, now I need to continue on with some things, right? But if you want to continue to write, then you have to set up some habits. And that's what we do is we break that goal down into habits. Well, what habits do you need if you want to write a book? Well, you need to write daily, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to write specifically for the book every single day, but I just need to get in the habit of writing every single day. So I get in the habit of writing for an hour every single day, whether it's towards the book or not towards the book, right? But I'm just writing every single day. Then eventually you make sure that writing is specific to the book. And eventually that book's going to get done, right? You may not finish it in 3 months. You may not finish it in a week. You might finish it in 2 years, but at least if you develop the habit of writing every single day, now you will move towards writing that book. And eventually you'll get to the point where you may be writing all the time. You might write several books. Who knows, right? Okay. With weight loss, let's break that down into habits. Well, we've got nutritional habits, and we could break that down into more habits. We've got exercise habits. We've got to break that down into more habits. We have emotional eating that we need to deal with, and there's habits associated with that. There are habits associated with our mood. There's a lot of different habits that could be associated with our sleep, hydration, all those things, right? Okay. So break it down those habits and focus on developing those habits versus when I'm going to exercise 5 days a week. Right? Well, what if we develop the habit of exercise? Well, in the beginning, a lot of times we say, I'm going to exercise 5 days a week. Well, day one, we didn't exercise. Well, we go, forget it, goal's over, right? Well, if we're focusing on habits, then we can say, okay, well, I didn't exercise today. Well, what got in the way? And if every night we sat down and we just kind of journaled and said, okay, well, let me just brainstorm a little bit. What was the obstacle I ran into? What are some possible solutions, right? I have one person that I'm working with right now who has struggled with exercise. She just the idea of exercise is overwhelming to her. So we broke it down into habits, right? Habit number 1 is go to the gym. You don't even have to work out, just go to the gym. And so she's been doing that. And now she's getting to the point where she goes to the gym and she's like, well, this is dumb. I'm here. I'm just going to walk on the treadmill for a little bit, right? So develop little habits. And actually, I was talking to my brother over Christmas, and was talking to him about these little habits and ideas, and he goes, yeah, what really worked for me, at least getting to the gym, is at the gym he went to was there was a steam room or a sauna or something like that, and he really enjoyed sitting in there. And so what he said is, I'm going to go to the sauna, but I have to do a little bit of a workout before I can go. In the beginning, he's like, I'd go on the treadmill and walk for 5 minutes, and then I would go to the sauna. And then after a while, I would just increase the speed or increase the intensity, increase the incline to the point where I was walking at a steep incline for 5 minutes, and then I'd go to the sauna, and then I would increase my time by a minute every single day. And after several weeks, all of a sudden he is doing a full 45-minute workout. He's losing weight. He's seeing the results he wants to see, and he still gets to go to the sauna, right? He was giving himself that reward with each of his workouts. Non-food reward, non-hurt your goal reward, right? But he developed that habit of exercise over time versus saying, okay, on day one, I'm going to go in and I'm going to start working out for, 45 minutes, an hour every day or 2 hours every day. I'm going to do this and have a whole program all designed and everything. But we can start slowly and working our way into it. Have those little baby steps that'll get us there. Okay. Now, again, will you lose 50 pounds in the next 3 months doing that? No, you won't. But you could lose that 50 pounds by the end of a year. You could end up reaching your goal closer to that end of that year. Okay, it may be slow in the beginning, but by the end of the year, you'll be where you need to be, and that will stick. Because again, most of us, we set these goals, we set these resolutions, and we do things that won't stick. Does that make sense? Okay, does that make sense to everybody? That if we're not doing things that will stick for long term, what's the point in reaching that goal? I mean, I've got dozens of people that I've talked to who have said, I've lost 50, 100 pounds, 200 pounds, and I've gained it all back. Because the way they did it was very strict, very restrictive program they followed, and did not develop habits. And the entire time they were doing it, they were looking for the end. They were looking for, okay, once I reach that goal, now I can go back to the way I was before and start living the way I was before. And that's not going to help you maintain your results. Okay? Now, if you'd like some help in your goals, okay, you can go to fatextractionmethod.com In the next day or so, I'll have a new training up. Right now, you can go there and you can schedule a call with me, and you and we can talk more about your goals and what you'd like to do to accomplish those goals, and see if it's right for you and I to work together. Okay. In the next couple of days, I'm going to have a training on that same link where you can go and check out some new information, new ideas, and things you can do to be able to succeed in this new year. So good luck with your goals. Write them down, publish them, put them everywhere you can see them, share them with your family and friends, let people know about it. Okay. Now break those goals down into habits and start only work on one goal at a time. And then break that down to habits and start working on those habits and develop those habits so that goal is more achievable for you. Okay, good luck with this year, and I'll talk to you all next week. Hey there, I hope you liked this video, and I hope you got something from it, something you can go and apply today. And if you did, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and like this video. And more importantly, go ahead and share it with your friends so that they can get the same benefit that you have. Thanks for watching, and I've got more to share with you in the coming weeks.